good evening. This is Joshua from Better Dads Malaysia. And once again, we are back into our usual Friday night Raising Hope session. And tonight we are still continuing the session with Dehumo Bickersteth. We are raising hope together with DTB Services. Wow, last week, in fact, I was so surprised but I also encouraged, as in the video view has been quite a lot. It's actually telling us that actually we're doing the right thing. Probably imagining the career option has been very helpful to most of the audience. Okay, then so we thought that we should dive in a little bit more to help you to understand while you are considering new career option, what are the essentials to for you to pick up. In fact, last week Dehumo Bickersteth helped us to understand that indeed to actually dissect, we have a competency level, be it whether it is a patient, whether you have the urge to solve problems, then you are practicing it in terms of activities. You're doing your routine from your work or your career. Then actually the industry when we are talking about is actually the domain you are in. So regardless of the domain or activities, when you have the competency level, you can technically survive in different industry. Okay, that's what I meant to summarize what we had on last Friday. So tonight we hope to dive in a little bit more, and let's welcome our friend Dehumo.
Thank you, Josh. Nice to be back again.
Yeah. I think it was a very helpful indeed. I received a PM from our page. They were asking, so I think they also appreciate what you have shared to talk about the competency level, the activities, and also the domain. I think it helps them to actually understand that, they actually got what it takes to move on, or in terms to prepare themselves in the transaction. And I like the idea that you share about the two janitor, when you talk about the janitor A, he's repeating the mopping the floor, the activities he's been doing as a routine. His task or his goal is only to mop the floor. So when he mopped the floor, he considered it done. Whereas janitor B, in fact, when he mopped the floor, he saw that some part of the floor got a stain and it is not clean, and his goal is actually to get the floor clean. So he will try different solvent, different approach, or different material and stuff like that until he gets to a point to get the floor clean. So I think this it's very well explained. But I want to understand more, and perhaps this Facebook audience from PM us the question asking what is different, okay? What is or shall we say what is lacking from janitor A? It seems that he's completing his task, but then he doesn't have the I don't know what do you call that. So Dehumo, hand over to you to help us to understand and learn more about this.
Thanks, Joshua. It's a very interesting scenario or situation. I wouldn't even say that there was something wrong or missing from the janitor. It really boils down to this idea of intent and intentionality. So the couple of things that I would want to quickly drop in, and the first is that the activity itself, which is mopping the floor in this case, for example, is something to be done and you can do it. But the value of that activity in building capacity, capability, and increasing your value as a contributor is going to increase significantly if mopping the floor is not the intent, but cleaning the floor is. So I explain what I mean.
Okay.
Anybody can mop the floor because you just need to have the physical ability to hold the mop and to move it across the floor. So the value of mopping the floor is lower than the value of cleaning the floor, because cleaning the floor requires a little bit more knowledge, and that's where the domain comes in. Because the domain of cleaning, mopping the floor as an activity is quite straightforward, but cleaning the floor means you understand cleaning. You understand brushes, solvents, different types of surfaces, wood,
it's a different benchmark, is it?
Correct. So the domain, when I talk about intentionality, the domain represents where a problem to be solved exists.
Mm-hmm.
And if you approach your activity with a problem-solving mentality, then the value of that activity in raising your capability increases significantly.
Wow. Yeah. Okay,
So,
I got it.
And the problem to be solved is always in the domain. The activity is purely do or don't do.
Mm.
Can you see that? So so a lot of times, a lot of people at work or in jobs, over time, we get into this routine of doing activities, but no longer being intentional about the problems we're trying to solve. So after 10 years of having 10 years of experience in a particular domain, you actually don't have domain problem solving abilities, you have activity experience.
Okay.
And that's what we're trying to, that's the first thing to think about, to say how much of my experience in this job or over the last couple of years or in this career has been about solving domain problems as opposed to just completing activities. Now, the good news is most people, no matter whether you thought about this before or not, most people have been involved in solving problems, but they might not have been intentional about it. So, all right. So what that basically means is that for anyone listening to this, even if you've never thought about it this way, you have expertise in solving certain kinds of problems based on your experience. The fact that you were not consciously pursuing these problems means that the experiences were not optimized. That means you could have gotten a lot more from those experiences if you were paying attention, but you didn't. But you still have something.
Okay. Let me hold it right there. So what is basically you're saying that the difference between the janitors A and B, actually it's the intent or intentionality.
Yes.
Okay. And also you are saying that, probably they are doing the activities, but they are not aware that they are, or even intentional about solving that particular problem.
Yeah.
So probably they have something with them also. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. Some people call it passion. Are you passionate about your work, or some people saying it is the grit that GRIT, the grit that drives you. So I want to understand more that. Is there anything that drives intentionality or the intention? I don't know. Probably the janitor A, people might understand that he's lazy, or he's not. He doesn't has a heart, or not passionate about his work. But is there something that drives intentionality, or to make him better, or to match the standard of janitor B? I don't know.
Well, I mean, let me try and see if I can. I'll share. While you were talking, I was pulling up this slide that I thought it might be useful to talk about what I was saying earlier. But I'll also use it to respond to what you just said. I don't know if you can see my screen. Yeah. So to answer your question and to kind of maybe make this a bit clearer, what's different between both of them is the results that they desire from that activity.
Okay.
Right? What drives the effort and the development value of that activity is the difference between desired results and actual result. So I'll start with that. So for the first person whose desired result is mopping the floor, then the chances of there being a difference between desired and actual is almost zero, because the only thing that can stop him from mopping the floor is if the mop is broken or if the floor disappears. So the likelihood of a gap between desired and actual is almost zero. Therefore, there's going to be very little reason to grow, to develop, to solve any problem.
Okay.
But for the person who wants to clean, there's a possibility that the desired result of a clean floor, for example, might not be met by an actual result where there's a stain, for example. So there's a gap. And that gap is what motivates the effort to change actions, to study the result a little better, etc. So that's what that means. So
Okay.
now, in terms of where it's come from, it all boils down to the reason why the person is doing the activity. And a lot of times what I like to talk about is that if you look at anybody, across their lives, not just at work, there'll be some part of their lives where their results are problem solving such that there's a gap between desired and actual. And you see them really passionate about solving that, and doing different things, like maybe they're trying to cook in the kitchen and, the thing didn't come out the right way. And then they go on YouTube and then they go and call somebody, so you can see that there's a very clear intentionality, there's a very clear problem to be solved in that. So that's the same person. But when you look at the same person at work or in a different context, you might not see the same behavior. You might see the mopping the floor, not cleaning the floor behavior. The question is also why? And my response is always going to be that the person has to, first is the person aware?
All right.
Right? So there's this level of awareness, like self-awareness. Sometimes when we think about work, our journey into work is such a standard process that we might never really have considered this question of what problem or whatever. We've just considered, I always describe it as, you finish your primary, secondary, university, first job, second job, third job. You might never really pay attention to what you're solving. You're just paying attention to what you're doing. So it's not a choice you made to or not to. It's just your habit.
Okay. Or probably he might think that, everybody's going through, it's a process. It's just part of life. I just go through.
Correct. Because that's the dominant way of doing it. So it's not the point I was trying to make is not a choice. It wasn't like supposed to be like that. It's that that's how you understand the activity. So the janitor is not choosing not to clean the floor. He actually thinks he's cleaning the floor.
All right.
So with that, a bit of knowledge, a bit of awareness can make the person realize that, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I get it. That's actually what this is about. I didn't consider, but that's really what this is about. And then you activate that self that we saw in the kitchen in this context. It was all, but it wasn't switched on in the context of this activity because.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you just enlightened me. I just sorry I interrupted you. But then I try to understand more. So you were saying, Dehumo, like say for instance the janitor A, he could be, from the eyes of his supervisor, he's lazy, he's not doing a great job, However, while you were using an example, but he's very passionate in cooking. Maybe he wanted to make good dishes, and also want to not only to feed the families, but want them to enjoy food. So he's very passionate about food. He's learning some new skills and new recipe on dishes. He's very passionate. So in fact, you were saying that everybody has this the intention of solving problem or make things better. He might not be aware that he need to bring that same passion or grit to his work, or without the realization that you can actually perform the same way in the other domain. So I try to understand, Dehumo, is there a way to convert or transfer the energy to the other side, or is there a way to match that? Or I don't know, I was just thinking out loud.
So this I love that question because that's actually the essence of this. So the first thing to think about is that the way I kind of think about this is, number one, is it a choice? Is the behavior, is the lack of intentional, is the level of intentionality or the level of desired result that we're observing, that you are observing, is it a choice, an informed choice? That means I know what problems can be solved. I'm choosing not to solve those problems because. So that's question one. If it's a choice, that's a different thing to deal with.
Yeah,
but we don't make an assumption.
Not happy with the pay, not happy with the supervisor. Okay.
Or it's just a transition job. I just want to get through this, and I just want to get paid.
All right.
So all right. Is it a choice? I mean, I know what it's supposed to be. I'm choosing not to do it. Do it that way. And that's a different challenge to be talked about and dealt with differently, conversations.
Yeah.
But we don't go straight to that as the reason. What we do is we put that aside and deal with the assumption that maybe it's not a choice. Now, if it's not an informed choice, then it means that what do we need to do? It means we need to educate. We need to create an awareness and an understanding of the possible results to be achieved. If I understand that this cake can be this high and this way, and then I look at mine and it's not like that, then I know there's a gap between what I have done and what is possible.
Okay, something must be wrong, or
something is wrong.
Lacking. Yeah, all right.
Now, if I care about that, my cake being like that, then I would go and try and figure out and try it again. If I don't care about whether my cake is that good or not, I think it's okay because my cake is good enough, I'll just move on. But I'm aware that this is not what I want, what could be achieved, but I'm happy with what I'm achieving. So that's what I meant. Okay. Now, the first thing we solve for is make sure the person is able to understand and appreciate the solutions possible, the quality, the level of solutions possible. Understand the problem better. Then with that comes a reason for now, if the person understands the problem better, it still doesn't mean they would respond to that challenge by trying to solve the problem. The reason for that is because I might understand the problem, but I don't believe I can do it. I have the ability to do what it would take to solve the problem. So I get the problem. Oh, that cake is really good, but there's no way I can bake like that. So just forget it.
Okay.
So I have no confidence that I can do it. So even though I get it, I'm still not going to. So you're still not going to see me trying because I don't believe I can.
Okay.
So the next thing
that's the confidence, the problem of the issue of confidence.
Yes, capability and confidence in your own ability.
Yeah.
So we go back to that to say, okay, fine. How do you become more which we talked about on the first day and a little bit on the second day. How do you expand your capacity and your capability and build your confidence? Right? So that you're able to respond to the gaps that you're seeing that you recognize and desire, right? Now, in responding to your capabilities, without making it too complicated, there are two ways to respond. One is learn how your confidence in your ability to do it, to bake that way. Or, and this is the one that I love the most, which is what we talked about on day one. Confidence in your ability to learn to do it. I'll tell you. Your confidence in your ability to do it says that you're going to try to do it tomorrow, you're going to try to do it next week. And if you try multiple times, but you have no confidence in your ability to learn it, you would give up again. We talked about grit, we talked about capacity, we talked about resilience on the first time we talked, right? Your confidence in your ability to learn how to do it means that even if you fail a few times in your journey towards getting it done, because you're focusing your ability to learn it, you will respect and celebrate the progress you're making in the actions, even though the results are not being achieved yet. The floor is still not clean, but you know that you can figure out how you can learn how to do it. You can ask somebody, you can talk to somebody. So I always I shared this a bit last week. I always kind of think about how we build this capability, how we build this confidence. And the starting point is the experience itself. So I tell people, context is everything. If you never had a reason to mop the floor, all this conversation we're having is irrelevant because you're not mopping the floor. So whatever context you're in, whatever job you're in, whether you think it's a horrible one or a brilliant one, realize that without that experience, there's nothing.
True.
There's no starting point.
Yeah.
Now that you embrace that experience for its value, to say, okay, fine, because I'm experiencing this, what is it telling me? First about me, then about the possibilities of the activities, then about the problems in the domain. Can you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what begins to play out. So you use the experience first to understand how you are responding, and then you access support in how to do. So supporting how to do is when you watch a YouTube video to see how to attach the wheels to your bicycle. It's not complicated. You just have to observe and see where to put it.
All right.
So how to do, how to mop the floor, how to hold the mop, how to apply the whatever. That's easy. Anybody, as long as you can read it. Now, education is different. And I'm going to spend a little bit. Education is what informs your understanding of the problem. What informs your ability to make a decision and a judgment in that situation? What tells you whether to go and look for a solvent or a brush? What tells you which solvent to look for? What tells you which different versions of it? That's education. It's only it helps you make sense of the situation, helps you see know the difference between red, blue, and green. Know when to apply.
It's like acquiring knowledge and information to help you to change the experience.
Yes, to make sense of the experience, to understand the importance of different parts of like what we're doing on these calls. As I'm using these words and describing what people are experiencing, I'm giving them new words and new ways to think about the experience. So now they're thinking competency, activity, domain, results. They're thinking it's the same experience they had 3 weeks ago, 10 weeks ago, but now it looks different because you're educated. You have a new set of ways of looking at it. And those new ways open up new possibilities of actions based on new understanding of results that can be achieved.
All right. Okay.
So when you go and take a course in data science, you should ask yourself, are you learning the skill to program in one particular language? Are you understanding conceptually how to make decisions about where and how you can apply those data science principles to problems within different domains? And the interesting thing about it is, if you enter a job field, the how-to, the performance support means that if you give me enough templates and enough tools, anybody can do that job. So if I say I'm the CEO and you want me to go and deliver a lecture at a town hall, if you give me the script and teach me how to say it, I can deliver that speech. Doesn't make me a CEO, but I can do that activity.
Yeah, true.
So the activity itself is supported by tools and how-to guides and all that. And that's how you access the activity layer. And that's why I said last week that most jobs have that activity layer, and therefore with the right competency, if you know your competence, you can pretty much do anything. If there's enough support in that area. But your ability to solve the problem in the domain based on the activity, that requires education. That requires understanding of the problem. And for that, that's where your increase in value comes from. And to develop that, you're not going to get it in a school.
Yeah.
You're going to get it from experience, from applying that knowledge to problems through the activity. So that idea that, oh, this job sucks, I want to change the job. I always tell people, before you change the job, ask yourself, what have I learned from here? What has this told me about myself? What am I looking for when I'm going somewhere else?
True.
But it's something I say a lot, right? Don't run away from this experience because it's too difficult, because you might be running into another experience that's worse.
True.
Understand from this experience your competency, your activity preferences, and your domain expertise, and then use that to decide where to go, not where to run from.
Yeah, I understand. Wow. It is so much, I'm so overwhelmed by all these insights, So I try to understand and summarize a little bit, Dehumo. So for janitor A to become like janitor B, so let's say, we are able to help him to understand and aware. Let's say he's not intentionally by choice, only mopping the floor. Then he wasn't aware of the task is actually cleaning the floor. He just continuing, to mop the floor. Now he understands that, and he later found out that he has or probably he's not confident in doing so. But then, he understands it. So we can help him to develop that actually through what you are saying, that to develop the capacity. Yes. Probably he hasn't got the confidence, but yet he can acquire wisdom, he can acquire knowledge in that particular activity. In fact, and also understanding the requirement from the domain, he can actually perform. Okay, so use that experience to drive it into a development, and then to change the experience. Yes. Oh wow! I think this is so powerful.
Let me show you. Let me give you an example. So the experience the guy had was he was not able to. One janitor saw a stain and cleaned it. The other janitor didn't see. The other janitor saw the stain but didn't clean it, right? To explain what you said a little bit more with a little bit more subtlety, the janitor that didn't clean the stain, it's not that he didn't see the stain, he saw the stain.
Yeah.
So two possible interpretations, right? He saw the stain, but believed that the stain cannot be cleaned, so just move on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, that's knowledge, because the other janitor saw the stain and believed the stain can be cleaned.
Okay,
with
the right solvent.
Yeah, if I change with the right thing. So you can see that the difference in knowledge, in what informs what you see and what you think can be done. Another possible interpretation, the other janitor, the first janitor sees the stain, believes it can be cleaned, but doesn't believe he can clean it.
Okay. That's the competency and confidence level.
Exactly. That's the one where the knowledge is there, he knows it can be cleaned, but he doesn't believe he can, either has no resources, this is all the solvent he has, so he just moves on. The other janitor, same thing, but he believes that he can and he goes looking for it. Now, let me explain to you what I mean by believes he can. And this is up to the individual. The effort required to solve the problem can sometimes determine whether I bother to solve it or not. So it's not even a capability thing. For if I need to go and find solvent in supermarket that's 10 minutes away and then convince my boss to let me buy it, I'm just going to mop the floor and go.
All right.
Even though I know,
well. Yeah.
Exactly, even though I know that it can be clean, but the effort to achieve that result, but for the other person, even with the same effort, I care enough to say, look, I don't care, I'm still going to go and buy the thing. And even if you don't give it back to me, I want to clean the floor. So what I'm talking about is there are different levels of motivation. What we're solving for first, and I'm not solving for all of it, what we're solving for first is not to make an assumption that this person is choosing not to do. Is to make the assumption that if we increase knowledge of the problem to be solved and the possibilities, if we provide enough support for the capabilities to perform the actions that provide the results, if we provide enough support for resources that will enable the performance, then the individual's choices become the only thing left.
Yeah.
And for those on the call listening to this, what we're asking you is your choice, whether those described exist or not, your level of resilience tied to your intentionality will determine how much effort you invest in pursuing a problem, particularly when you realize that the one thing you get from that experience is increased capability, and nobody can take that away from you ever. And that increased capability is only possible because you are able to have that experience in that context. So you might hate it, you might not like it, but if you shift your perspective of it, you could extract from it knowledge and skills that would remain with you for life and allow you to open new doors for what you desire, even though you thought you hated what was going on.
Yeah, wow. I think this is so powerful. It is a powerful message to all the audience out there, I like the idea when Dehumo said, don't presume or assume that the scenario can be changed or the other party is not willing to do anything. Don't assume all this negative. Don't allow that to even come in while you are actually using your current experience, whether it is a job, whether it's some issue within the family or relationship, we should actually intentional about, making it better, to change it, acquire enough resources and education and knowledge to change or transform the experience, even though, at the end of the day, the end result it is not going to what you desire, but then the capacity that you are building, the knowledge you have learned, it doesn't go away. It actually, it will bring you to somewhere better. Wow, I think this is what we not only we need to believe, and I believe that will be the case. It is the reality that we shall embrace, and will believe that, even what some of these scenarios and bad things happening, it's only temporarily, okay? And things will get better. I think this is some message and the the message we shall embrace and to continue to pursue. Wow, thanks, Dehumo. I think this is very powerful.
Real pleasure, real pleasure.
Yeah, yeah. And once again, I want to thank Dehumo for this session, very in-depth and help us to understand a lot more. So yeah, so if you find this video practical and relevant to you, do share it to someone in need, or even some friends, you might not know, what he's going through. Probably he just need this one insight to turn his life around. Okay. And once again, I mean, if you have any question regarding our videos or even the previous one, or some question actually bothering you, you can always drop us a message, privately, or or leave it on the comment. Whether that's Malaysia or Dehumo, we'll try our best, to answer, to help you, to journey with you. So, and also again, another announcement, if you want, you need a time to talk to Dehumo, okay? We provide the link actually at the post. You can always click on it and talk to Dehumo. And just to assure you, his heart is just wishing to journey with you, to help you. It's totally free. Okay, if you need somebody to talk to or to help you understand some of this problem that you are facing within your career or your capacity, you can always schedule a session with Dehumo. Once again, thanks, Dehumo.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.